Right, welcome back. More news at the Star. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Nomusa Dube-Ncube is briefing the media on interventions to combat disruptions by the so-called construction mafia, including the illegal invasion of state-owned houses and the recent torching of trucks. Let's take you live there.
Members of the media, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We wish to welcome all of you today who are here this afternoon, and we thank you for making yourself available and joining us. And those that are also joining us on the social media platform, we also wish to welcome all of you and thank you for joining us for this media report. This report is a briefing following the ordinary sitting of the cabinet meeting that was held yesterday until very late, 9 o'clock-ish p.m., and where we reflected on a number of issues, including strategic issues that affect our province. At the top of the agenda, the Executive Council assessed the progress the province is making to reverse the economic impact of numerous tragedies and setbacks that have engulfed us as a province of KwaZulu-Natal within the space of 3 years. We wish to commence today's briefing by giving an update on the pertinent issues up to date. We look at the issues where we deliver this media statement merely a few days before our country and the rest of the world commemorates the rich and human rights legacy of the late President Nelson Mandela, whose birthday we celebrate next week on the 18th of July. It was President Mandela who said, and I quote, "It is so easy to break down and destroy. The heroes are those who make peace and build." That is close quote. This week marks exactly 2 years since July 2021 civil unrest, which caused untold trauma and destroyed the lives and livelihoods of our communities. Thousands of our people in the province were affected. We are pleased to report that major progress has been made to get the province full back on its feet after these devastating floods that wreaked havoc over the year ago. We are also on track with rebuilding plans and great progress that has been made to restore infrastructure to revive the economy. While we are certain that all affected persons are safe in the temporary accommodation government has secured, the focus is now firmly on shifting and rebuilding the infrastructure and rehousing those communities who have lost their homes through unsustainable rehabilitation and also the reconstruction that is happening to rebuild better than we've had been before. Following the civil unrest in July 2021, the President Cyril Ramaphosa announced measures to ensure that peace and stability is maintained throughout the country, and that there are no incidents of violence, and that there are also programs to provide support and relief to the households in order for them to alleviate poverty and hardship that they face on a regular basis, and also reduce hunger and the need to help those that want to build their businesses, but also those that want to rebuild their lives. As directed by His Excellency the President, also his announcements, the Minister of Finance announced the following measures to address the social unrest. They announced the 3.9 billion backing for companies that were destroyed. That was the money that was coming from the insurance, Sastria. The 2.3 billion support for small businesses, that was those that were not covered by insurance or by Sastria. And about 400 million re-injection into the Solidarity Fund, and the rollout of the accessibility of the relief measures that was also centralized at the national departments as well as in the departments of development finance institution. And the following institutions were involved because those small businesses that needed to be supported needed also to ensure that the small and medium financing institutions also come to the party. the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition, the Industrial Development Corporation, the National Empowerment Fund, were some of the funds that were made available support to small businesses that were not covered by the insurance. We are pleased also to note that through the DTIC, the relief measures implemented through the National Empowerment Fund and the IDC, a critical infrastructure reconstruction program, to a total of about 118 applications from the affected businesses were processed and were approved, and about 1,980 billion of that amount that was made available by the DTIC was accessed by various businesses, particularly the big businesses. Already over $1 billion has also been disbursed to these businesses that are located here in our province. Under the National Empowerment Fund and the IDC, the infrastructure reconstruction program there was happening in eThekwini. About more than 400 million of that was spent in eThekwini. Umgungundlovu, about 6 million was spent. In King Cetshwayo, about 26 million. Ugu, 88 million. Amajuba, 36 million. Umzinyathi, 10 million. Herigwala, 27 million. Umkanyagude, 3 million. Zululand, 3 million. Ilembe, 12 million, and thus totaling to 1,856 billion, which was the funds that were disbursed to businesses here in KwaZulu-Natal, this category of small businesses. Through the development as well as the Department of Small Businesses, to date, a total of 75 applications valued at about 78 million for businesses affected by the July civil unrest have been approved across the department as well as across the province and in eThekwini municipality. eThekwini on its own received more than 102 million businesses, about 75 businesses that were supported by that amount of money. The Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs has also set aside resources to assist the affected businesses in the province. The department was also able to be at the center of coordinating the national relief measures, that was coordinating what was coming from the national departments. And against this backdrop, tremendous effort in coordinating these national reliefs needed to be done so that we ensure that whoever needs to be assisted is assisted, but also those that need to access various funding that are available are assisted to access that funding. Itala Development Finance, the Itala IDFC, provided rent holidays and reversals of about 164 social unrest affected tenants to the value of 7.6 million. And 4 affected clients have also been assisted with installment relief on their business finance loans. And this was very critical for us because, as we know, that many shopping centers were affected and many shopping centers had to be closed. So those that were renting from the IDFC had to be given relief by not paying rental, but also had to be given relief by ensuring that while they are rebuilding their businesses, they do not have to pay for their rentals until such time that they are back on their feet. No businesses that are based at the Dube Trade Port, SCZ, were damaged or destroyed during the July unrest. And hence there has been no compensation claims from some of those companies. However, companies that did experience supply chain in their production and disruption of losses due to the impact of the wider economy within the Dube Trade Port did get assistance as well, with air cargo fee waivers, free storage that they had to get, for food and emergency supplies in the weeks of during their unrest. We had to make sure that even those that were within the Dube trade port get the support because of those disruption of the value chain that actually impacted of them on the outside. The Dube trade port worked with other entities such as the Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal, which also partnered with the IDC to disperse about 30 million funding towards the social unrest businesses that were affected in the informal trading sector. This is one of the sectors that received beneficiaries of about 192 informal businesses that had to be supported with this amount. And the department had to work also with municipalities to facilitate the re-registration of informal traders with their application processes to ensure that those that are being assisted are those that have been registered, but also those that are there that need to be rebuilding their infrastructure are supported correctly. On the road infrastructure, there's a lot of work that has been done there. You'll remember that our province suffered to the value of about 5.7 billion damage due to the rehabilitation that had to be done. The Department of Transport needed the assistance from SANRAL so that at least SANRAL with their capacity, they could be able to help us to restore a lot of other infrastructure that needed to be restored quickly so that people can be able to travel along the arterial roads. There were more than 730 priority project roads that were identified. The majority of them have been successfully repaired. Some government departments also had to use their internal resources while we were waiting for approvals from the national government so that we ensure that we comply with the supply chain management issues, because one of the matters that you might have seen, some of the delays, and you've heard from the MEC of Transport last week, that the issues of supply chain management had to be adhered to. But also you remember that we put in place other measures such as making sure that there is pre-auditing of any project before it's done. And this pre-auditing was done by both the AG and the Auditor General's office as well as the Treasury. All these measures were put in place so that we can ensure that we avoid any mismanagement of these funds. On the roads, I can cite an example of the road, the R74 in KwaMaphumulo, where there was a sinkhole. We are expecting work to be completed before the end of October 2023. The N2 Umhlali River Bridge, we are projecting August 2023. You would have seen the MEC also going there to do an oversight on the work that was being done. On the N2 South, Umgababa work is underway. And on the north, the M4 Tongat River Bridge, last week, as I said, the MEC was there to ensure that the repairs is continuing on that road. Once we have completed all this project, we can safely say that we have restored the mobility in the province. However, we are still needing to do a lot of work in the township and other areas that were also affected by the floods. We are also keeping a close eye on the work that is happening at Intlungwane Bridge that is linking Inanda and Tuzuma. Work has commenced there, and we are hoping that that work will really be speeded up. Of course, you would remember that that was a massive damage to that infrastructure. So there's going to be a lot of earthwork that will need to be done, but also ensuring that whatever would have caused that damage does not happen again, through ensuring that the rivers, the river banks are also enclosed to ensure that there is a future waterproof should there be something like that happening.